Cal football has had some pretty good quarterbacks in their program's history. Since the turn of the century, you've had guys such as Kyle Boller, Aaron Rodgers, and Jared Goff. All three of them were first-round picks, all three of them were stars for the Golden Bears, and all three of them did great things while they were there. You also had a couple of other really good players such as Nate Longshore, Davis Webb, and most recently, Chase Garbers. Sadly though, Cal has fallen on hard times, as they have not been able to win a lot of games recently, yet alone get great quarterback play. Jack Plummer was serviceable last year, but not the kind of guy who's going to save the program or save Justin Wilcox's job. Currently, he's on the hot seat, and he truly needs to find a quarterback that can take the team to the next level and get them back to their winning ways. Honestly, they may have found that through the transfer portal this year. In my opinion, Sam Jackson is one of the most underrated quarterback transfers in the entire country. He's a freak athlete, sat and learned behind one of the best quarterbacks in college football last year, and right now has the tools and hype to be the next big thing for them. Today, I want to introduce you to who Jackson is, we're to go through his rise, talk about his career at TCU, and why he'll be ready to take over for Cal. But before we get started, quickly be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new and love college football content, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now, let's get started and talk about Sam Jackson. So according to 24/7 Sports, Sam Jackson was a 4-star recruit, the number 32 quarterback, and the 374th best player in the class of 2021. He's also one of the top transfer quarterbacks in this year's class, but who is this guy and where did he come from? Going back in time, Jackson has always been seen as a great athlete. His high school coach said, quote, "He can run a 4.4 on the 40, can windmill dunk a basketball, and can throw a football 70 yards. That is how athletically gifted Sam Jackson is. Going back even further, his dad played basketball, but eventually steered his son towards football. Sam said, quote, "I started playing football when I was 4 years old, and I grew up watching Peyton Manning, and he is my favorite player." Jackson would end up playing tackle football even back then, and he was actually a quarterback in the Little League for the Chicago Jokers. Jackson briefly ran track and field, and also played a little bit of basketball, where he could dunk by the time he was in middle school, but football was his thing. He said, quote, "My whole life, I've basically been playing football." Growing up on the west side of Chicago, Jackson said, quote, "I was basically surrounded by poverty and a lot of violence, so my schooling experience was kind of different." Thankfully, his situation got better, and by the time he was in middle school, he was able to enroll in a Chicago suburb school in Naperville. By the time he got to Naperville Central, Jackson said his path was created for him to get to college. He also had the football talent to make it. He originally started at Bolingbrook High School and eventually committed to Minnesota after his freshman year. He would end up transferring to Naperville though, and he played wide receiver there as a sophomore. At the time, the starting quarterback was Peyton Thorne, who was at Michigan State and is now the starter at Auburn, and Jaden Reed was also his team's wide receiver, who was a Michigan State star and now a Green Bay Packer. He was loaded with talent and some great players to look up to. His coach said, quote, "He was a quarterback when he came to Naperville, but he's such a special athlete. He was just too good of an athlete to be sitting in the sidelines as a sophomore." He had 15 touchdown catches that year, and the thing about receiver is he only touched it 50 times for us. As a quarterback, he'll get to touch it every snap, and that's where he needs to be because he will make plays. Now that Thorne was gone, he get his chance to be the quarterback his junior season. How did he end up doing? Well, he passed for 1,727 yards and 16 touchdowns. Jackson would unfortunately lose his senior season due to Chicago not allowing football, but he was a super talented quarterback and had generated a lot of recruiting buzz. But where would he go? Remember, he was committed to Minnesota. Well, he had a wild recruitment and could never seemingly make up his mind. I personally remember following his recruitment back in the day because as a Purdue fan, they came into the mix. As I said, he originally committed to Minnesota, but a few weeks later, he would decommit because he had gained a ton more interest from other programs. But then, he later announced that he had recommitted to the Golden Gophers. Jackson had been drawing immense interest from other schools, but ultimately appreciated the loyalty from Coach Fleck and his staff. He said, quote, "They've been loyal to me from day one, and they've never lost interest in me." But that was not the end of the roller coaster. He decommitted once again, and quickly chose a new Big Ten West school as he flipped to Purdue. I remember at the time Purdue getting that commit, and I was super excited for him. I guess Purdue promised him the opportunity to be their quarterback, and he said, quote, "It was something I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. It was honestly a gut decision, and I just feel like if I want to get to the next level and succeed, this is the best decision for me." He chose the Boilers because of the way they play the game and the way he wanted to play the game. But it wasn't over again. He had one more turn in his recruitment, as he would eventually flip to the Big 12 and chose the TCU Horned Frogs. I tried researching it, but I couldn't find any reason why he did this, but that was the final domino in his recruitment. While Jackson was short, he was way too explosive and athletic to not make an impact somewhere. Ultimately, he wanted to play quarterback exclusively though, and I guess that's why he ended up going to TCU, as he was one of 3 players at the position to sign with them in 2021. He had a monster arm, could make every throw, and was dangerous with his legs. His high school coach thought he was going to be very special one day, as he said, quote, "He has a great high school football IQ, has a solid work ethic, and he wants to be special and wants to be great. His goal is to play in the NFL, and I'm sure he's going to get there." 24/7 Sports also thought he was a big deal, as according to them, he was a 4-star recruit, the number 32 quarterback, and the 374th best player in the class of 2021. So how would Jackson end up doing at TCU? When Jackson would arrive at TCU, he was stuck behind both Max Duggan and Chandler Morris. Duggan was the next big thing out of Iowa, and Morris was the son of former Arkansas coach Chad Morris. He was going to be that third guy, and unfortunately, he just never really got a chance to play. Max Duggan was the starter in 2021, Morris was supposed to be the guy in 2022, and he got hurt, and then as we all know, Duggan took over and then became a Heisman candidate, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and is now in the NFL. In total, in 2 years, Jackson would throw just 6 passes at TCU. He did complete all of them, and after 2 years of learning, he was ready for his fresh start. It looks like Morris is going to be the guy going into 2023, so he entered the portal. His high school coach said, quote, "This is an opportunity for him to come in and use his skills on the field and try and earn a starting spot and be able to call a team his again. It's been a while since he's been that guy since high school. I know he's excited to get at it and start grinding and earn that opportunity." That is why he entered the transfer portal, and a few schools would come calling his name, but it was clear where he wanted to be. He said, quote, "Cal was the first school to call me. I had to make my decision pretty fast, and I did talk to other schools, but Cal showed me the most love." So yeah, he now arrives at Cal, who just lost 2 big-time quarterbacks. They lost Jack Plummer to Louisville and lost big-time 4-star recruit Kai Milner to Northern Arizona. That one was a head-scratcher to me. Honestly, though, that was a blessing in disguise, as Jackson has so much potential for the Bears. He'll be battling it out with Ben Finley and Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza's probably his best competition, but more than likely, this is Sam Jackson's job. I'm pretty much nearly certain he's going to win the job, and this could be a really fun quarterback running back duo. Jaden Ott will be returning for his sophomore year, and last year, he rushed for 897 yards and 8 touchdowns as a true freshman. He impressed Cal with his tremendous speed, and this could be an absolute terrorizing duo. Both him and Jackson have 4.4 speed, and trying to figure out who's going to run the ball or do something with the ball will be very challenging for defenses. Add in the fact that Cal has a new offensive coordinator, and I think he could be set up for success. Justin Wilcox brought in Jake Spavital, who was most recently the head man at Texas State, and has worked with 10 different quarterbacks who have made it to the NFL. That includes former Cal star Davis Webb and other guys such as Johnny Manziel, Geno Smith, and Kyler Murray. Obviously, that is a great coach to have and someone who will be able to get the absolute most out of Sam. Jackson went off in the spring game, has impressed coaches throughout the summer, and should be named that starting quarterback soon. He has lofty players that he wants to be, as he said, quote, "I kind of pattern my game after Pat Mahomes. I watch a lot of Kyler Murray, I love Aaron Rodgers, and my all-time favorite quarterback is Peyton Manning." So yeah, Sam Jackson will bring an Sam Jackson, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated quarterback transfers in the country. He has elite speed, has a great offensive coordinator to learn under, will get a chance to start, won't have high expectations, and is hungry for his chance. The biggest knock against him is that he hasn't played in 2019, but in my opinion, he's a name to watch, someone who could break out for Cal this year and could re-elevate that program back to where they once were. But it's all just hype right now, and what do you guys think? If you're a Cal or a TCU fan, what do you think of Sam Jackson? What are your expectations for him in the program this year? And what player or transfer should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you're going to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all of the videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.